25 that just says Juliaetta City Council
You
meeting?
don't want to just play roulette with it like I do. I will take a look at it tomorrow. It can't be too hard.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. 6:59 on April 14th, Juliaetta City Council meeting. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will now open the public hearing for the Avista franchise ordinance and the appropriation ordinance amendment. Is there any public comment on either of those ordinances?
What does it mean?
What does which one mean? Who asked that?
Kathy. What does it mean? What are the ordinances?
The ordinance is for Avista to be able to come in and fix light poles, and the appropriation ordinance is to open the budget to move money to fix the park.
And Mr. Mayor, a poll is available.
Would you like to talk about it?
Here.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Paul Kimmel, Business and Public Affairs Manager with Avista. Appreciate the time tonight for your consideration. Again, before you, I've provided some information regarding, this is our standard operating franchise agreement that we provide all of our municipalities, counties, anywhere where we provide both electric and natural gas services. If you don't know about Avista, again, we've been around 137 years, formerly Washington Water Power, based in Spokane. We've been in this community for a number of years. I can't remember how many before my time, but we're an investor-owned utility, unlike a municipal or cooperative like Inland Power, Clearwater, or a public utility district. So again, we're mostly renewable. We have a lot of hydro base, some natural gas generation, a few wind projects, and some solar and woody biomass. So again, a pretty diverse mix of resources that we provide. So it helps us control our costs as well as how we serve our customers here. Just go to the reason for franchises, and it's really about how we can operate within your public rights of way. So it's like the city owns as far as the poles, the pipes and wires that we can put within your rights of way, how we conduct our business, how you manage us as well. So again, it's a protection that we have with you, as well as it helps give us certain assurances how we can operate within your right of way. These are pretty standard. We typically ask for 25 years, these agreements just for stability. Again, gives you the ability to hang your communication lines if you have need for that as well. We provide for that. There's sections on tree trimming and how we manage our system within your rights of way, trigger trees, etc.
I have a question about, we've recently had some studies, speed studies with the state. They talk about how dark our main street is. Do you guys have any kind of grants that we might be able to apply for to do more power poles and lighting and stuff along Main Street?
Sure, love to help you. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't wish you were in Washington, but Washington has some other more generous programs, but there are some programs, whether it's through LTAC, Department of Transportation, but we also have some other programs. And we can work through Matt Anderson with that as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
So again, we appreciate that. Again, you have a great local rep here, Matt Anderson. I think he's really fine individually. Again, some of the emerging issues for us, as you all know, public safety power shutoffs, where we'll go in and proactively de-energize based on wildfire conditions. And again, you're not immune to that here, but this isn't considered a high fire risk area, but fires do happen, obviously. So those are some of the things that keep us up at night, and how we manage our system, how we protect our communities. Again, we don't like to proactively de-energize anything, whether it's a a hospital, your wastewater treatment plant, wells, etc. But just given the propensity of wire danger anymore, you know, that's a big issue for us. Other than that, you know, again, we're really trying to manage costs. Again, affordability is a big issue, and we're committed to keeping those rates under control. Again, we operate under the Public Utility Commission in Idaho, so anything we do, whether it's a rebate program, an energy efficiency program, or a energy rebate program, we have to get approval through the state process. And that's the same with our rate cases. Typically, it can be 10 to 12 months. We'll submit a proposed rate case, and then they give us an up or down or adjust what we're asking for. With that, I'd stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you very
Paul.
much.
Appreciate it.
And then the appropriation ordinance amendment, like I said, was to open the budget to move $50,000 to the capital outlay for the park to take care of some business at the park that after the flooding. So does anybody have any public comment? Okay, we'll now close the public hearing and move on to the consent and approval of 3 special meetings and then bills.
I move to approve all the meeting notes and the payables.
I second.
Has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay. Just 1 second. A lot of signatures. Start passing the bills around and then we can move on. Pass those down to Cheyenne. Thank you. Okay, so now council's review of ordinance 2026-03. Suspend the rules and read ordinance by title only. I have a motion.
Go
ahead.
I motion to review ordinance 2026-03, suspend rules and read ordinance by title only.
Do I have a second?
I'll have a second.
All in favor? Motion passes.
Okay, story time, everyone. Ordinance number 2026-03, an ordinance granting Avista Corporation doing business as Avista Utilities, a Washington corporation, its successors, and assigns the non-exclusive right, privilege, authority, and franchise to locate, construct, install, own, operate, maintain, repair, and replace poles, elevated and underground wires, cables, and appurtenances for the transmission, control, and distribution of electricity within the city.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-03?
I move to adopt ordinance 2026-03.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. I did not have a sheet for, I just had 2604, Cheyenne, so I'll just sign yours.
Oh, get it from you. Okay.
All good. Okay. Council's review of ordinance 2026-04, amendment or appropriation ordinance amendment to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion to review ordinance 2026-04. Suspend rules and read ordinance by title only.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Move and second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Ordinance number 2026-04, an ordinance of the city of Juliaetta, Idaho, amending ordinance 2025-03, the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026. Appropriating additional monies that have been received by the city of Juliaetta, Idaho, and budget reallocations in the sum of $50,000 and providing an effective date.
Okay, council consideration to adopt ordinance 2026-04. Do I have a motion?
And to adopt ordinance 2026-04.
Okay, roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Do we have a second on that motion? Mayor?
Uh,
Did I miss it? No.
I thought it was,
A second.
I thought it was Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
We need to review the tape.
Instant replay.
Instant replay. Pass that down to her. Okay. Next on the list is Chantel Hannon to request a variance for the pigs. You guys want to step up to the podium? We'll probably need some assistance from our attorney. Go ahead.
Is that what you wanna do?
Okay. I would like to, build a pig pen in our house, for about 5 years for our 4-H FFA pigs.
So I think what we're asking is a variance to the city code, to be able to have, she'll have 2 pigs each year. Usually get them mid-April, early May, and then fair is, usually the first or second week in September. So it'd be for about 5 months, at our house. We have a spot in our garden all picked out. Talked to all the neighbors. We have a signed letter, which I have with me tonight, from all of our immediate neighbors signing off, that they're okay with us, having those.
Do you have a map, just so that,
Yep. So I probably don't have copies for everybody, but why don't you?
just for people who might not be familiar with where you live?
Yeah. I live by Russ.
I live by Russ.
I know where you live.
Yeah, we wanted to buy your house for a
Oh,
while. Here tonight.
So this is, yeah, this is the garden spot up here, and then this is, Rodney own that behind you?
Yeah.
Crooks Canyon?
Yeah.
So it's right on the edge of city limits.
Yeah, the veg looks good. Yep, yeah.
But I think there was some questions about the ordinance.
I've got bad news for you, Mayor. I was just checking with Madam Clerk and she confirms that you guys live in a area zoned residential.
Correct.
And city code provides that pigs are not allowed in the city, period. No variance or conditional use is allowed to be granted.
Okay.
It's one of those sections that I don't know how long ago it was passed, but it's just point blank, neither variance nor special use permit can be used for this purpose. And the keeping of swine in a residential zone is prohibited. So if the law does not allow them to take action to support you, no matter, I know every one of them would like to support you, but they are not allowed to. Legally, they cannot.
Would we be able to, in the near future, amend this ordinance?
You can amend the ordinance anytime you want. You're the city council.
Let's amend it right now.
They can't get them.
Right.
Almost.
Can't quite do it. That's why I said
Yeah,
anytime
the biggest thing is, they're only she's only using it for 4-H.
I agree with you. I agree
Right.
100%.
Yeah,
I would 100% say yes.
Where else are they gonna raise the pigs at?
Sir, the answer is very simple. Every one of these folks, I think, probably agrees with you, but there is a process that must be followed in order to amend an ordinance. And there has to be an ordinance drafted, then it has to be published for public hearing, there has to be a public hearing, and then they can take their action. And so they're probably a month out from being able to have all that done, but it's something they can start anytime you want.
Yeah.
Another question to ask you then is how many other animals are not allowed in town? You see what I'm saying on the ordinance?
The ordinance,
Swine.
Swine, how many, is sheep allowed, is
Yes.
cattle allowed?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying is
Goats.
goats, horse, cattle, llamas, sheep, poultry, all allowed. Goats, alpacas, they are allowed, but swine were prohibited.
What's the reason for that?
The council passed that law.
That's what.
It was, you said it was, Cynthia, you said it was
2013.
Yeah,
2013?
the Council that did not consist of any members on the council right now. I can personally tell you that I will work on amending this resolution, and I can't promise what everybody else on the council will do, but.
So
I will try to get it.
can I call a special meeting to move forward with this to try and limit the time? Because I know that they're under the gun.
That's.
The answer is yes. I don't know how much good that does you, given the notice requirements.
Well, I mean, do we have to have a special meeting to approve moving forward with the ordinance, or can you write one up and then we move forward like?
We can draft up an amendment
Let's
pretty
hold
quick
it.
and then get it, published and.
It takes time, sir. It takes.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody on the other end
You
of
have
town
publish
who's
it in
asking
14
if
days
it's
before a
agricultural over
hearing.
there?
If it's the Matlin's over there. He's a great guy,
I
right?
couldn't tell you that. I don't have an answer.
Agriculture area, maybe.
I don't live over there.
No, but do you know anybody there you can put the?
I can maybe answer
Any
that
relatives on the
question. So in the past, I think it's the Stewards on
Yeah.
Fixed Ridge, going up Fixed Ridge, the Taylors.
We have a back, I mean,
Okay.
we don't need that, but if we could have a timeline to know if that was even possible this year, we could.
Well,
have to pick them up this weekend, so we,
So, yeah,
I know it can't happen that fast, but I'm
Right.
just saying,
What I
if we
can
knew
tell
that
you
it
is
was gonna
this.
be.
You will have an answer this year. I can't commit anybody to vote one way or the other, although Rick has already told us which way he was gonna
Right,
vote.
right. I understand the voting part, but
Other
if,
than that, it's-
like, if it did go through, how fast could it go through? I
It could
guess
go
that's
through
what-
within a month.
Within a month, yeah.
so if we get the ordinance done and have time to publish before our next council meeting, then I will call a special meeting to fast track this, because I know that you guys are under the gun.
It has to be, it can't be by. I don't think it'll make it by the next council meeting because you have to publish for 14 days prior, so she would have had to start publishing now.
The next council meeting's a month away.
Oh, I was thinking twice a month.
No, we do once a month.
Okay, then yeah, we can absolutely have it done in a month.
Yeah.
Absolutely have it ready.
So if Todd, you want to work on that, get it to Cheyenne, and then we'll get it published, and I'll call a special meeting, and then we'll go
Rick,
from there.
Would you meet with me for a minute when we're done so we
Yeah.
can just discuss how you want that worded?
We
Don't
have
discuss
an
that.
executive, right?
Yeah.
We'll just take 5 minutes about how
Okay.
wording. No problem. I just want to make sure I'm getting what you want.
And I'd like to have some input on that.
We should
because I
probably
do have
either
some
do it
concerns.
then as a whole group, or because we have to make sure we follow open meeting laws.
But it's not a violation for you and I to meet.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Either all of us or just me and you.
Right.
Or you can run with it. I think you have I was just offering to do it, but if you want to do it, you're the legal guy,
If
so.
you want to do it,
I would like to. I feel as well with her.
Yeah.
Either way.
You can get it done.
Clarification, Todd, we don't need to have a special meeting though, right? We can,
No, it doesn't have to be a special meeting, but you
Right.
have to have a public hearing just like you did tonight for
Yeah.
Rio Vista.
like, we don't need to have a special meeting to vote to decide that we're going to move
Oh,
forward.
no.
Right. That's where I was
Yep.
confused, but
Okay.
I think Todd answered that question for me.
Just like we had with the Vista, there wasn't a
Yep.
vote to
Yeah,
propose the
we
ordinance.
just do the public
We
hearing
present
and
it, Then
then,
you got to make your
Yep.
decision.
so we would do a special meeting for the public hearing. If it was, if we could get it done before
Well,
the next meeting.
At best, that would save you a week.
yeah, it's not gonna save us much time. Cause Todd will need to draft the ordinance.
Okay.
And I know my schedule this week.
Right, and publication for 14 days. And I have to give them the Tribune 3 days notice before they will publish what we send them, so.
Well,
Say
if
really-
if a miracle happens and we're able to do it more than a week before the next meeting, then I can call a special meeting.
Mayor, I'd say the consideration you may end up with on a special meeting is if we are unable to have it so it can be published 14 days before your next meeting, you may want to have a special meeting following week in 5 weeks to have it done. But we will certainly try to have everything so you can have it for the next meeting.
Okay.
I know my schedule this week is just bloody.
Okay, just keep me in the loop and we'll get it figured out.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So just a quick question, because with all of that, I may have lost it. How many pigs is it gonna be?
It would
Yeah.
be 2 a year.
Okay,
Two pigs.
thank you.
So I don't know if this is something that I can ask, and please feel free to stop me if I need to, Todd. With
Stop.
with not being able to do special use on this, is there anything else that we might need to look at, or we might have messed up on in the past that could come back to bite us in any way? We might want to look at that as well.
That is so broad.
I would look at February.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that
We'll talk about it.
yep, as soon as we're gonna do this, let's fix a few things.
And can I just pipe in? I think while we certainly are on board for 4-H and FFA, when Todd, I mean, other people's opinions, like, I think in the past, like, the worry with swine is full-time, like, people that are like, oh, well, I'm gonna raise hogs year round, and
Well,
the size of the lot
So-
and the property. So I think maybe the way it's worded is more limited.
well, we
or
could just
4-H
And I
or
know
the
a
size of
special-
a lot.
has something in there.
Right, to make it
Code that
Yeah.
sure
says
that
it's specific to FFA.
this doesn't just
4-H, they can do it
open the
anytime.
door for
Yeah.
everybody year round.
or
And
put
that's my
like the
concern.
special, that they have to come to council for a special use permit kind of thing.
Yeah, because that was my concern, that if we make it too broad, that someone that is on a postage sized lot has
In the middle of
12
town,
pigs.
Right, year round, because there's
That
no.
could be
limits.
trouble.
Right, so that would be just my concern.
I
is-
think if we're gonna limit people's property rights, we should at least have it be that they can at least apply for a variance.
See what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
raising them at too.
Yeah,
Right,
And then that way we don't pigeonhole ourselves in the future.
yeah, I
Or
agree.
future
But I think
Because if they
that
have,
just,
if they can have two pigs, why can't somebody else say, I wanna just have two pigs and raise two pigs, you know?
But it's all gotta be approved by you guys to have.
Well,
Well, you know what I'm saying.
yeah, no, unfortunately, yes, but if, I mean, at the very least, let's not just say it's 4-H, let's
Yeah.
have it be a process where they come and get it.
They're right on the borderline.
and that was my concern, is that I felt like we were rushing into writing this without us all being able to discuss it. And I just wanted to make sure that we're careful in how we do it, so that we don't end up with a neighbor that already has several animals or livestock adding 12 pigs to the neighborhood that affects the smell in the whole neighborhood. I totally agree with that. They have the perfect space for it. So that's why it should be a special, be a permit, but at the same time,
All
Yeah.
neighbors.
All your neighbors agree.
yeah, exactly.
I
Because they've done it very well.
I think we want to be careful about wording it as a variance or a conditional use. Since those require special hearings, those could have to run through P and Z first. And so we have some options that we want to avoid building in extra layers of delay, especially since you're wanting to move quickly for this one. And so I'm going to try to word it where council can grant the permission rather than making it go through one of those other hearing procedures.
Okay.
What I'm hearing you say, and this is for, I think this is an appropriate time to have a discussion about some of what you would like to see in there. I was going to try to do it just quick afterwards, but everybody wants to be heard, and that's great. Let's get the ideas out and on the table. But what I'm hearing you say is a limit to the number of animals, a limit to the purpose, and make it really educational or FHA, so that it's something to support our students rather than someone's saying, oh, well, I'm going to go into the hog raising business.
Well, I mean, every citizen of the United States is entitled to equal protection under the law. And so in my opinion, when we say, well, we're gonna give these people a special permission to have two pigs, but nobody else can have, if you're not part of that group of people, you can't have two pigs. So the issue really has to be whether or not it's gonna, I mean, can we justify telling them they can't have pigs on their land?
yeah.
And
You
Because we
can't, we
justify
can't
it with
discriminate
everything else.
against people though. What you're mentioning is saying, if you're in a certain group, class of people, 4-H people, then we'll let you have two pigs, but if you're not, tough luck. You're right.
And I understand what you're saying. I don't believe it's a equal protection violation. I think legally it is sound, but that doesn't mean it's the policy choice that this body wants to make. I heard somebody a minute ago say that Lewiston has it set up for their students. That if it was going to be tested, it would have already been tested there. So I don't see it as problematic. There are things that municipalities can do to support educational purposes that aren't generally afforded to everyone else. But I hear exactly what you're saying. To say, we're going to exclude, we're going to do a carve out for just these people, that can feel pretty wrong. And if this council says that's not where you want to go, great, I won't word it that way. But I need to have an idea of what it is, because what we don't want is to end up having you guys say, well, let's continue this out while we amend the ordinance. We want to come up with something that can be, we want to move quickly here.
Absolutely.
And so I'm asking and seeking everyone's input on this now. Not that anybody's going to commit one way or the other as to whether you will vote for it or not, because you haven't seen it. So please don't commit one way or the other. But please share your input so I can try to consider it as I try to structure this a little bit.
Maybe pigs per area, time. You can't have, well, you can't have the pigs all year round, because that would like limit potbelly pigs, pet pigs, which stinks still. And then maybe sign off of neighbors. That would make it pretty specific.
Well, and maybe like a lot size, because somebody who lives on a very small lot isn't really gonna have a lot of room for pigs.
Yeah, and the smell carries. I can tell you from growing up with them, it carries.
If you're thinking lot size, what would be the minimum lot size that you're considering to approve it?
And what's their
What are our
average single lot?
I think the minimum lot size is 7,500 right now, isn't it? 7,500 square feet. Yeah.
They need more than that though for a pig. And
Right.
you need to have it so that they can't have the pig pen at the edge of the land too, because otherwise the neighbors really don't
Setbacks,
get the
sure.
smell.
But if the neighbors also sign off, then,
Doesn't count, because you don't want to give the neighbor the full whiff and you will manage to miss it entirely.
so our average lot size is what, Justin?
Well, I think the minimum lot size is 7,500 now, but there are lots smaller than that because they were grandfathered in before. So I
And
think,
in the livestock, we have different sizes with the different animals, the amount of pasturage required. So it can be larger than just a normal residential lot. It's like, I think it's half acre for some of the browsing animals, and you might want to put a limit on how many animals they can have too.
Yeah, like what you might do is like use the lot area for the biggest lot area for the biggest animal, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because a lot of them, we say how many, you have to have so much space for each animal, so you could do something like that too. You're going to start an interesting discussion.
But another thing too is, okay, if you're gonna have the past ordinance to have pigs, okay? If you're gonna have pigs, you gotta come to you people, see if your lot required, if you can have them there.
Well, if your lot is X amount, then it's fine. So that's where if it's a smaller than that, then they would have to come to council. Yeah,
You gotta put a full stipulation.
right. We're just trying to figure out what lot size. So I would say, what's the square footage of a quarter of an acre?
I don't know.
I'm not very good at math.
Are you looking at
Is
me?
the cow the cow have the biggest lot size?
Yeah, I would say the cow is the biggest lot, would take the biggest lot, cow or horse.
Yeah, cow or horse, use a cow or horse lot size is the minimum.
And what is
It
the,
says in your email.
I know
Okay.
a third, you can have at least one.
Horse
I know that much.
Horse or cattle, one head for the first half acre of livestock and one head for each additional 1/3 acre of livestock area.
so we're gonna be requiring more for a pig than a cow when a pig is half the size of a
Yes.
cow?
But they get
stink.
out and they
Right.
stink.
And then if they get out and they destroy everything. Because my mom can tell about our flower beds.
But if they get out, they just run to my place, so.
We hope.
And if you want,
Somebody else
if the
might
half
have to
acre
be some other
minimum
part of
for
town.
one
Well, they do,
animal
because I
is what
get
you're
'em wandering on
thinking
my
that
yard.
can go to
I've
that.
got
Randomly with like 2 or 3.
And
there now,
that
then
seems
where
pretty
they go?
consistent looking across these.
That's-
You know.
Okay.
These all seem to be based on that.
So half acre,
I have the answer.
yes, Justin.
It says deep bedding, small farm pen, 80 square feet per pig, an 8 by 10 foot pen. This is the most commonly recommended size for backyard or small scale producers. It allows pigs to move, root, and stay clean. Pasture raised pigs, 1/4 acre for 2 to 3 pigs. That's 3,630 to 5,445 square feet per pig. That is the recommended space for pigs raised on a pasture with grazing.
What you might do is, could you maybe limit it to being a pen other than grazing? 'Cause
Yeah,
grazing-
it's a, you know,
Right, which I think that's what the 4-H ones are gonna be. Is
Yeah,
pins.
They're all confined in a pin.
Yeah.
It's 10 by 20.
Well, the
Yeah,
pen would be
that's bigger.
more or less likely to get out than a ranging pig.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you could have more buffer space between the pig and everybody else.
They got quite a room.
Yeah, I know, but
Right.
if we write this,
Right, so I would say the half acre and then the not, what'd you say, ranging pigs,
Not
pin
right.
pigs?
Confined.
Confined pigs with a certain size pin. And then probably X feet away from property lines.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if the standard what for building code would work, or if we want to extend that, because standard from building code is 10 feet from a property line, 15 feet from an alleyway, and 20 feet from the center of the road.
I think that would work.
Like I said, I don't know if we want to go more on the property line stuff, but where the property line with yours, where you back up to, I mean, that's a little different situation, but we got to make sure we kind of make it for,
everybody.
everybody.
Just trying to find the list in some option to, do I need to deny this request?
Or table,
I
or,
think table's probably your best option. Is if you deny it, then she has to start the process again. If you table it, you can take it up after you address the ordinance.
I moved to table.
A second.
okay, been moved to table the request for the variance for the 4-H pigs for Chantel. Sir, you seconded? All in favor? Motion passes. Let you know.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
okay.
How much money you got?
Next is my recommendation I recommend Zane Hadley for the last spot on planning and zoning.
And he accepted?
He accepted.
Nice.
I thought that, he's young and we need to, as we lose some of our, knowledge, we want to make sure and pass it on to the younger generation. So. I just need a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept Zane Hadley, to the planning and zoning.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Okay. Next is to appoint Cynthia as temporary chairperson. Cynthia and I. Are you good with that?
I'll make the motion to appoint Cynthia and I as temporary chairperson in planning and zoning.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Stillman, you're up for the discussion on the 1.8, and then you get to go into the other city business after you talk about the 1.8.
I don't even know what 1.8 says.
Extra wastewater treatment grant funds.
All right, let's start there. So I want to talk about poop tonight as well. Stop it, poop. The treatment plant project is going very well. We're past the halfway.
You can push
point.
that in if you need to. There you
There
go.
you go.
They were shorter earlier. We're past the halfway point, and things are going well. Because we had such competitive bids at the beginning of the project, there are extra grant funds that we need to decide and by we, I mean everyone in front of me, not me. I don't want to decide this for you, but you have roughly $1.88 million of extra grant money to spend at the end of this project. It can't be spent on anything throughout the community. It has to be spent on the wastewater treatment plant, particularly within the fence line. And so we haven't moved on anything yet for making suggestions to the city yet, because we know that the funding agency, USDA Rural Development, would want the project to be to a certain point before we start making decisions about spending that additional funding. Your choices are to find ways to spend it that will benefit the treatment plant, or at the end of the project, turn the money back. It will not reduce the amount of loan that you have on the project. That is a fixed amount of $750,000, and the loan portion of this project has already been spent. They require that we spend that money first before we can start spending USDA Rural Development grant money, which we are now just getting into on this project. The total budget for your project is roughly $12.7 million. To date, we've spent about $8 million of the total budget, including construction, engineering costs, and everything associated with the project to date. We've talked, we put our heads together at Keller to put together some ideas of things that you could consider for additional improvements at your treatment plant, things that were maybe tabled and not advanced because we were trying to keep the project under budget and trying to focus on the most imminent needs that your plant had. So we came up with 9 projects. We've whittled that down since to 8 projects after getting feedback from USDA. Those include adding on to the existing lab building and giving Justin and Joe some reasonable space to work in a lab, and also access to their bathroom without the door slamming into the counter that's right in front of it, if you've ever been out there. That could also allow us to modify the existing lab space so that there could be a shower in there, which is nice if you're a treatment plant operator and something happens. So you don't have to climb into your vehicle covered in sewage and heading home, because sometimes you get sewage on you. Sometimes it would be nice to clean off before you head home. So there's some advantages to looking at that. That was one of the projects we talked about. Another one would be upgrading your disinfection process. You currently do chlorination and then dechlorination. The upgrade that we would recommend would be to switch to UV disinfection. By doing UV disinfection, you're no longer working with chemicals. So you don't have to worry about how much chemical is left in the water once it leaves the plant. And so it can simplify that side of things for your operators. Another improvement that we don't think that should be deliberated on, but just needs to happen, is the water service line out to the building that's there now has been largely exposed during the project. And it's mostly galvanized line. Some of it's plastic. It's not in great shape. And so working with Justin and others on the project, we've already asked the contractor to provide a quote to upgrade that water service line. Construction of a new shop that could be used also as workshop space. We know that there's been some discussions from the fire department about wanting to take over the rest of the building that's there. And so if there's an opportunity for these funds to maybe build some additional workshop space for the treatment plant, and then that would be able to accommodate the fire folks. But if there's any fire folks here, don't get too excited yet. Another one that we talked about was maybe adding some additional coating to the concrete structures at your lift station and the new equalization basin that's going in. They're not required, but they can help add additional life to those structures. We also talked about maybe putting a cover over the equalization basin that can help keep the temperature of the water down a little bit. It can also help keep algae growth and things like that away. So it just makes things a little bit better for your overall process. We also talked about maybe putting a new cover over your existing sludge basins that are used for drying out biosolids. That is going to become your backup operation with this new plant. your primary operation is going to be to use equipment to dry out the biosolids, and then those would be hauled off. But the cover that's over it right now is in terrible shape. Half of it's already gone to make way for the new building. The other half we've kept on there for now because they are still putting biosolids in there, and we're just trying to keep them somewhat drier during this wet season. So that's another thing. We also talked about maybe a trailer for hauling off headworks screening and grit. Right now, you're working with, is it Latah Sanitation?
Sunshine.
Sunshine. You're working with Sunshine Disposal to haul that material off. We did see with another community here nearby that the disposal company they worked with, which is a different disposal company, the first day they went to pick up this material, they said, we're not picking this up anymore. So there's a possibility that maybe Sunshine could say something like that. And so what you could do is get a trailer that is parked underneath kind of the down chutes that come from this equipment. And then the city could haul that off themselves to the landfill when it gets full, and it doesn't fill up real fast. So that's a possibility as well. And then the last one is maybe adding some additional controls programming that could monitor more things at the plant, maybe put out more reports for your operators, just make things a little bit more automated and nice. So those are all the different possibilities. You could probably get most, maybe even all of these things done within that amount. We really kind of need to just work with the city to figure out which ones are your priorities and which ones we want to start looking at pricing on. Some of these things, the contractor's going to want Keller to put some design to it before they do anything, and other things we can just go straight to the contractor and ask them to do a cost estimate. And ultimately, before anything is authorized to move forward, it still needs to go into a change order. It needs to be approved by the city leadership. So, any questions about that?
Do you have like a list of priorities?
Well, those are the lists.
Like, this one's the most important, this one not so much. Of the 8 that you gave.
From my perspective,
From your and the operator's perspective, they're the ones.
I don't know that we've prioritized them yet. And I guess if I'm looking at this list, number one, the water service replacement, that's a small one. We're already moving ahead with that. And then I think after that, it's kind of, if you look at the treatment side of it, the disinfection would be pretty important to look at that. I think operationally, the lab building should be a priority. We didn't do anything with it because we were trying to keep the costs down, but now that we have some additional money to take care of that, I think it would make for a better experience for your operators to have the right space to do that work. Because they're working in a building that was been around for 50 years now, and it could be better.
Is the UV, is that cheaper than running with the chemicals?
No, it's not cheaper because with UV, so that's another consideration. With UV, you're using electricity, and so you're introducing that. Your chemical process is going to be less expensive, but there's also a reason not to use chemicals. Chemicals are not always safe, and you also have to continue to monitor how much chemical is still left in your water, and so it's a balancing act that your operators continue to deal with. The other nice thing about UV disinfection is it can handle a lot more with less. So what we would probably suggest on that one is retrofitting your existing chlorine contact basin to include a UV disinfection unit. Something that can be looked into.
That's probably my top priority is UV disinfectant, because I've seen how it works in Cambia and Moscow and everywhere. And
Minnesota's a good example.
Really slick.
They're pretty slick,
It's
yeah.
super slick, yeah.
They're pretty neat.
It's funny, that was my number one.
Could you add solar to that to help supplement the power costs, part of this program?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say no.
Just had to ask, I know
Um,
that some water districts are actually putting them over their canals to protect the freshwater canals and
Yeah.
using that
Yeah.
electricity that they're producing.
Yeah, I'm not a solar expert, but just from what I've seen, it requires more power than you can accumulate from solar panels. And the batteries that have to store that energy can be not safe at times. I won't name names, but there's a facility nearby that is trying to do exactly what you're talking about, and they have had a lot of issues.
It was just a question, because I know power is not cheap, so.
Good question.
No, it's not. So yeah, very good question.
Maybe Avista could cut us a deal?
We could hot wire it. That's a meter.
It would require a long process to change the rules. So that's that. I mean, overall, I think you're in a really good spot with the treatment plant project and a great contractor that's running the project, so.
And when do we have to have these, or when do we need to make these decisions by?
The sooner the better, because USDA really likes the idea of change ordering this work into the current contractor's contract. But this current contractor is also bidding other work, so the longer we wait, the less available they'll be. And you don't necessarily have to operate under that. I mean, you could take longer and just run the risk that we may have to bid out some of these improvements to a new contractor. And I'm not exactly sure what date all the funds need to be spent by, but USDA likes to try and keep things moving as much as possible, so.
So how would this look? Would we just decide the order we want to go and just go until we run out of money?
Yeah, good question. So next steps would, once we kind of know what your preferences and priorities look like, we can come back to you. I think initially what Keller would do is we would put some costs to these, some general high-level costs, and kind of give you an idea of how much of that 1.88 million it would cost. Some of these things we would need to do a contract amendment with you in order to do some quick design on it. And so we can make that our next step. The reason we don't have that yet is we needed USDA to come back and tell us which ones we just needed to strike off the list before we put too much effort in, and they just did that. And they only took one of the ideas off the list, so I can't even remember what it is now. I just took it off today.
Go play with
What was it you
toilets.
want me to tell you?
Where you guys store your backhoe. Roof is in pretty good shape, that Dustin suggested you could add walls. But because the backhoe isn't used exclusively at the plant 24/7, that's a little bit looser on improvements at the plant, even though the covering is. So that's why they struck that right away.
They get nervous about rolling stock for some reason.
So what kind of time frame do you think we have on being able to have a basic idea of the cost of each of these?
As soon as we can get it, I would say that we should be able to get something pulled together in the next week and a half or so. We can circle back with Justin and then, yeah, I just kind of go from there. I guess we just wanted to make sure that you were aware, that this is the situation you're in. And I would suggest that we continue to coordinate through your operator. And then when it gets to the point that a change order or a contract amendment needs to be approved, you know what it's for. And you know that you have the budget for it.
So is this something that we could put on for May's meeting to get rolling with this? Like you could have the information you need to present to the council, and the council, is a month a good enough time for everybody to?
I just would like to have a little more detail, but yeah.
Well, and he'll give us the detail in May with.
As much detail as you want.
Right, yeah.
I just kept this discussion high level.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And then we can have a better idea in May so that we can get rolling, because I don't think we want to risk losing any additional money that we could make things better.
But I also feel like we could decide as a council, we want to do the projects in this order.
Right, so you
Bid
didn't
them
think,
out, and then when we run out of 1.8 million, the rest of the projects, if we didn't get them all.
I would agree with that approach.
well, and that's something that we could have on, so if you have a cost for us in May, we could start prioritizing, and then he can have a cost for us in May, and we can make that decision in May, I would think. So let's put that for May's meeting. Thank you.
Perfect.
Does anybody have any other questions on that? Okay.
All right, so the second item that you asked me to come prepared with is, the mayor asked if we could talk a little bit about kind of our ideas on whether or not the city should entertain a per gallon, water rate.
So a citizen had come to me and had asked about why we did the 6,000 gallons kind of thing. And if there was, because that particular individual doesn't use the 6,000 gallons. So then Justin and I were kind of talking about, I guess some towns do the per gallon. So I thought that maybe it would be good to have, because I think none of us on this council know how the 6,000 gallons came about, or so just something to, look at. So
Yeah.
I did reach out to Stillman to see if he had some information for us.
We do. So this is like the quick version. So we asked for some data. Cheyenne got us some water usage data from the past year, and we kind of wanted to look at kind of what the statistics are. So right now your rates are set up so that for the first 6,000 gallons, you charge a base rate of $55.12. Correct me if I'm wrong on anything here. And then you have 3 different tier levels where you charge additional for usage. Between that 6,000 and 12,000 gallons, you charge an additional 0.2 cents per gallon. After that, from 12,001 to 288,000 gallons, you charge about 0.3 cents per gallon. And then the last tier is 0.5 cents per gallon for everything over 288,000 gallons. So we looked at your users from the last year, and we found that 73% of the time, your users were using less than 6,000 gallons of water per month. And they were only being charged the base rate. 27% of the time, conversely, you had folks that were going above that amount. Most of those instances were happening in the summertime because that's when folks. I won't use the mayor's numbers in front of him here right now, but I did prepare that if you wanted me to share that. I do have another citizen here that shall not be named, but we wanted to look at a couple of different scenarios. So looking at one person, we found that that person, let's see, these were scenarios if we changed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we looked at about how much revenue you have been pulling in over this last year, and I think the number that we came up with was somewhere around 205,000 to 220,000. I can't remember which number was the right number.
220,000.
$220,000 in revenue from the past year. So using that as like, we probably don't want to set up a model where we're bringing in less. We don't know very much about your water utility, so I don't know if that's bringing in enough, not enough.
And unfortunately, we're still waiting for a couple audits, so we're not sure exactly where we're at either.
Right. So yeah, that's something that needs to be determined. And the other thing that we don't know is what your goal is here with changing this rate. So having a little context there, knowing that this is just somebody that said, I use a lot less water. So there's some ramifications to that I'll tell you, but just looking at a per gallon scenario where we're still trying to bring in about $220,000 over a year, we did find that for this particular person, their rate might range anywhere from $15 per month for the low usage months to $720 per month for the high usage months. And that ranged for the total year from spending about $1,150 for the whole year on their water bill to almost $2,500 for the whole year. So that was one scenario. Another scenario, somebody's usage would range from $38 to $68 per month for a total water bill for the whole year of about $660. And let's see, I'm sorry, let me take that back. This last number that we came up with was, okay, sorry. The first person, the $1,150 was what you would get from them under the current model. The $2,400 to $2,500 is what you would get if you changed it for this particular individual. For another one that we looked at, you would currently get about $660 from this individual under the current model. Under the new model, you would get about $564. So What we saw in general is that if we were looking over the past year and you switch to a per gallon model, right now, your revenue stream is kind of a flat line. If you look at each month that you're pulling in, you're pulling in between $16.6 thousand and $22.3 thousand per month. That's kind of the range. Obviously, you're pulling in a little bit more in those summer months. Those are the higher dollar amounts. If you switch to a per gallon model, that's going to look more like what we call a bell curve. And so during your wetter months, when people don't need to irrigate and use water for that, you're going to bring in a lot less. So we were seeing that that might get down as low as like $9,000 a month. And then on the high end in the summer months, it would be $37,000. Now, this is all assuming that nobody changes their water usage habits at all. I think if you move to a per gallon rate, you are going to encourage water conservancy, and you're going to have some folks who are going to be like, I don't want to pay this much anymore. And so they're going to find ways to use less water. So if that was your goal, then that's a great reason to do something like this. And that's why some of these federal and state agencies like to see you move to a per gallon model, because they do want you to try and conserve water. But for a community your size in general, it puts a lot of risk on you that if that could fluctuate in a way that you are constantly keeping your eye on your revenue. Because if that does dip down, and let's say you were expecting to get 220,000 under this new model, you know, Joe and Sally and all these different folks that don't want to pay as much anymore are now conserving water, and now you're only bringing in 185,000, and you needed 205,000 to break even. So that is one of the things to consider as you're going into this model, that you might have to keep an eye on it from month to month and be like, I'm getting kind of nervous. I think we need to ask the council to maybe increase our rate. And so it's my general recommendation based on everything that we looked at here that you don't go to a full per gallon. It will benefit the folks that use a lot less water than the folks that use quite a bit more water. But I think you're going to see some angry folks that use more water, and you're going to see them trying to use less. And you're going to see some happy folks on the bottom end that are paying $15 per month for a lot of those low months when they're not using very much. And you're putting yourself at risk that you're not going to get the revenue that you need by the end of the year. Those are probably my high level points. Anything else you think I should throw out there on this? We chatted about this for a while today.
Yeah, well, and I just wanted to, like I said, nobody on the council knew, so I thought this would be just good information for us to have. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't do this. I'm just saying that these are our observations with this quick look. If you wanted to put more energy into this, if you wanted to do a full rate analysis where we're looking at different rate models, some of the things that we thought that you could entertain rather than just staying with what you have is you could lower how much the base rate includes for number of gallons. Because we did see that, that was another thing that we looked at. Where did I put that note? You want me to tell you that note? 60% of your users use 4,000 gallons or less of water is what we found. You know, it's not linear after that. You get some smaller amounts of use between 4,000 and 6,000 gallons, and then there's a huge percentage that uses more than 6,000. That's one thing you could do. We would recommend that you still have a base rate baked into your model, because then you know that you're getting at least that much. And you're not worried about, you know, how much water everybody's using. Or let's say we have a drought year and there's problems with the water treatment plant and they can't put as much water out to the system, and we're asking folks to use less water. Well, that's going to affect your revenue. And so now you got to be nervous about that side of it. So do you increase everybody's rate while you have a low amount of water to use as a community? So there's a lot of things that you have to, it's just going to become a headache, I would think, for your staff.
Okay.
So that's my general suggestion right now, but if you want to explore it more, I would suggest a full rate study.
So would you say the system we have now is kind of fair? Like everybody's paying the same rate right off the bat?
Yeah, It's kind of fair,
It's not fair. Some people use a lot of water. Some people don't use much. That's not fair.
which is why you have the base rate.
But it still costs the same amount to fix their water line as someone else's water line.
You have quite a few people in your community that don't just stay with the base rate though. So to Justin's point, the folks that are using a lot, they are paying for it, if they go over 6,000 gallons. And you do have quite a few that are doing that. Maybe 30% or so, of your community is using more. The other 70% are using less. And so, the question is how do you move that? And, I don't know that, without doing a rate study, it's going to be hard to tell you exactly what you could change these rates to. And if we feel like that's going to make things fair and equitable across the board, because the more you move it towards less money out of the pockets of folks that use less, the higher amount that you're asking for the other folks that use more. And you're going to get folks that are going to be angry on both sides. But there are a larger percentage of folks that use less. So there's that.
So I had a question, the communities that end up going to like by the gallon, do they ultimately kind of then increase their rate to kind of appease everybody?
And
Right,
yeah,
so
that's my
You
concern.
have to
Right.
keep your eye on it. And
Right.
so if you see that usage is dipping and you're projecting that you're not going to have the revenues that you need to take care of regular operation and maintenance costs, paying your operators, buying chemicals, buying electricity for that facility, all the things that go into it, then you as a council are going to have to make some quick decisions on making changes to make sure that you don't trend in a direction where you're going to be in the red. So it just brings it more into focus, and you're going to have Cheyenne and Justin and folks like that that are going to have to be watching it like a hawk.
And still, with changing water rates and what we're charging, I mean, I think it's anything over 5%, right? Requires
Anything over 4.99% requires a public hearing.
hearing. So there really is no quick way to remedy the discrepancies month to month. So that's another consideration is you would have to have a public hearing, published in the newspaper, open it for public comment, and go through that process every time if we need to adjust that rate higher than 4.99%.
You could do a rate study to kind of say, if you have enough folks that are asking about this, you could do a rate study and say, well, we're going to do this rate study to look into this. And they're going to come up with multiple different options that we can consider. And maybe one of those options is to stick with what you got. And other ones are, the drastic ones. It could be a drastic one of going to per gallon. It could be another one that's maybe a change from what you have that's kind of halfway between both. But yeah, probably your next question is about how much that costs. It depends on who you have to it. I think I've heard that RCAC can do some of that, but like I also know that they're pretty busy, and I don't know how much they end up charging for that. But if you have a firm like us do it, doing a study like what we're talking about, it's probably going to cost in the range of $30,000.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, yeah, it is. I mean, when we're talking like revenues of 220,000. Yeah. And then the other option I know is sometimes IRWA will do some rate study work, but I don't know if they're currently doing that right now or not. They had like one person that would do it. And it's been a while since I've asked that gal if she's still doing them. So.
Is this a common thing that's been brought up?
So far it was just by one individual, and I just thought that it would be good for the council to kind of have some more information about how this 6,000 gallons works, because I don't think a lot of citizens understand that the reason we have these minimums like this or these stuff is so that we can afford to fix things and kind of have that consistent money. So I thought this would just be good, but it was only by, so far, one individual is the only one that brought it
Like
up.
I would only, my opinion would be keep what we got unless there's like a water quantity issue, right, that we have to deal with, because it's we're keeping in the black.
Yeah.
What we got.
Right.
And water's quantity is not a problem at the moment.
And also, people will stop watering.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't want to say the name of the town, but that people just stop watering and all the lawns dried up in the summer because they started from the first gallon.
Well, we don't want dry lawns.
Well, or even, I think that minimum was set because a lot of people gardened here. I know my
Mhm.
grandparents, all the old timers, all had gardens and yards, and
Yeah.
times are changing. Maybe we need to move more towards a conservation model ultimately, but I mean, that's up to
Yeah,
everybody in the town, I guess.
like, again, my only thing would be, I wouldn't suggest doing it unless there's a water scarcity issue, because burn the black, it can stay in the black.
And we're able to make water, what, 10, 11 months out of the year? No problems? Like, we don't have an issue making water with our treatment
Oh,
facility.
well, right, no.
Yeah.
We did have a little bit of trouble a couple of years ago and the river got completely almost dry, but we managed to do it. But it was a little scary there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, this is my personal opinion, but if you have a base rate with a certain amount of gallons in it, I think a lot of people think less about how much they're using, and that can be viewed as a positive and a negative thing. I think the reason it's viewed positively is like, you're not gonna have folks intentionally drying their lawns out and doing things to try and keep their bill down. They're gonna live life normally. And then on the negative side, it's like, you don't want people to overuse water, and if it's a scarcity, and if you're having issues like that, then that could be an issue as well, but.
I think the person who brought the issue up was concerned that the city was profiting from water.
Yeah.
But, and we're a nonprofit.
Well,
And that's always an issue, is that we want to be in the black, but we won't want to be too much in the
Well,
black.
yeah, I know that.
It's
I mean,
not,
we're
it's not
not-
our money, so.
and the last audit we had, we were just, like, we're barely,
I'm pretty sure your audits are public information, so I think if folks want to ask for that, they can get it.
yeah, we're
They can
just
see that
2
you're not-
years, unfortunately, 2 years behind. Yeah, we're 2 years behind, so we're working on
Yeah.
rectifying that, but yeah.
Well, then.
But that, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. We've discussed upgrading to the meters, so that new meter,
Yeah.
right, would
we
be
are
more
looking at-
accurate on the
Yeah.
usage. We might see different variables and
Yeah, that's true. We might have a
fluctuations
lot more
because it's
data.
more accurate
Yeah,
data.
you will see, I don't know your meter situation, but I know in general on meters, if you have older meters tend to read less than what they're actually pushing
So it
through.
could be, once
So
we hit that.
if you regularly
might
swap
adjust.
out your meters and keep those up to date, and you're feeling more confident that they're operating, you can capture how much folks are using better, and that might
Right.
result in getting more revenue. But again, it doesn't sound like revenue is an issue for you right now, and that's not the driving factor here. I think folks just want to know that you're not padding your accounts with extra water utility money. And I think it's also helpful as for the folks here to know that municipalities, particularly in Idaho, it's illegal for them to use money that they bring in for the water utility for anything except for the water utility.
Mm-hmm.
So if they had extra money just sitting in the account, it would have to be spent on water infrastructure, and nothing else. And if they do anything else besides that, then somebody ends up in jail. So.
And hypothetically speaking, let's say somehow municipality ended up with a bunch of extra money in their fund, would rebates be considered to still be in the legal?
That's a council decision, or you can even look at like reducing your rates. I usually don't see communities reduce their rates because they don't have that problem. It's usually the reverse. But what I usually see is I see communities, if they have any kind of surplus funds, investing more in fixing their system, and not letting it get in bad shape. If you think of it like a car, they're putting in the oil changes regularly instead of less frequently, and they're making sure that it's going to operate the way that it needs to.
Or you could just use the extra money to delay increases.
Yeah.
That too, yes.
I mean, hopefully we don't end up with a ton of extra money to the point where we're like, yeah, we gotta start giving it back or something, but just hypothetical.
I appreciate Councilman McDowell said that, because we've talked about that exact scenario for your wastewater utility, where you don't have to jump your rates all the way up to what the models say that it would need to be if you were starting from zero on putting money away for your annual payments for your loan. And that your first loan payment doesn't happen until a year after this project's done. So potentially that's sometime next year. And if you've already got money and you've already been increasing your rates and you're storing some of that money away, it can delay having to increase your rates faster than you want to.
Yeah.
So that's that one.
Okay,
Short and sweet.
okay, next.
Sorry,
I
I got one more.
thought we had two more.
Two more.
Oh, two more.
Two more.
If you've got
Or there was just other city-related businesses.
It was just easier to do other city-related business because they're working on
Lay it on
multiple
us.
projects for us.
you've got a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on, especially with the recent flood.
So let's talk about the flood.
Okay.
So, one of the questions was, what can we do? Is there something we can put up to divert water to protect some of our facilities, particularly the park? One of the things that was evident during this flooding event is that your treatment plant is at a good elevation. Had it been lower, there might have been more issues. The only reason that I think some water got in around some of the construction is they currently have some of that levee or dike or wall or whatever the buildup material there is currently dug down for the construction. They'll have that backfilled and everything, but
It already
there was,
is.
what's that?
It already is.
It already is what?
Backfill.
Mostly. It's not quite done
Almost.
yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
close.
it's a lot, it's higher now than it was.
Quite a bit, yes. Thank you. That being said, your park and some of your land north of the treatment plant, it is lower in elevation. It is part of the floodway. If you have larger flood events like this, you are going to see some flooding in those facilities. It's going to be temporary. There's going to be some damage. I think in the case of your park facility, I think they had it kind of cleaned up and good to go within less than a day.
Well, it took about a week for.
About a week.
For
Okay.
the ball.
Well, they started on Thursday and by Sunday they were ready to play ball.
So I guess in general, what I would say after discussing it with members on my team, you can look at doing some improvements like what you were asking about, but it's going to be millions of dollars. There's going to be some FEMA permitting that's going to be involved because you're changing the floodway, and it's going to be a long process. And the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to go down that road? Is it worth it? Or is cleaning up the park for a few days after a flood event, is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, we're not talking about things like, we are looking at the riverbank stabilization for right next to the main baseball diamond there. I'm going to talk about that here shortly. But in our opinion, it's probably not worth the millions of dollars project that it could be. But if you feel like it is worth it and you want to go down that road, I'm just telling you that it's a multi-million-dollar project.
And what exactly, like changing the river, like what were you specific on, like your solution?
Yeah, so what you're changing is, what, you want to talk about the riverbank stabilization?
No, I
No,
think
like,
what would we be
$1
doing?
million? What would that buy us? Like,
Okay, so if you think about when there's flooding, the water has to go somewhere.
Mhm.
And one of the things that FEMA is trying to regulate is they don't want you to fill in these mapped floodways with additional fill material because all that does is push the flooding somewhere else and it makes a bigger issue for somebody else. Maybe even a bigger issue for yourself somewhere else. So a lot of this area that we're talking about is within your floodplain and floodway. So if you are, you would have to go to FEMA and you would have to see if you could fill that material up and you would have to bring it up or put in a levee type system to keep that water out. But all you're doing by that is you're taking away all this real estate that they had to accommodate some of this flooding, and you're pushing that flood somewhere else. And so that just requires, you have to go through a permitting process, you have to go through a letter of map revision process through FEMA to show them how you're changing your floodway. They would probably want to see some modeling done so that they can see what the effect is going to be from filling that in or by putting in a levee system. That's generally what I'm talking about. But if you think Lewiston did this at one point in their past, they have a levee system that keeps floodway waters out of downtown. They used to flood pretty bad in downtown. They don't anymore. Well, they do still some, but it's not like what it was. And that was an expensive, long project for them to do that. So I guess high level, I would say, I don't know that it's worth it for a community this size to go down that road. And I think you will still have to deal with these issues as you have those larger flood events. This was a larger flood event that you had. I think we estimated that it was at least a 20-year event. So it's not your normal rainstorm. But when it happens, stuff's gonna happen and you're gonna have some cleanup efforts involved. And so I think you just have to ask yourself if you're still okay with that, or if you wanna continue looking down the road. I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm just saying that I don't think it makes sense for a community your size.
Okay.
But if you wanna do it, then Keller knows how to do all of it. See, I'm not trying to drum up business for myself. I wanna recommend what makes sense for your community. While we're talking about that, we are doing another project for you. We're looking at stabilizing a portion of the river that has washed out next to your baseball diamond. A lot of folks probably wouldn't know it unless they got over there on the bank and looked at it, but it is largely washed out. It looks like you had kind of a rock concrete type reinforcement on that bank. Part of the problem is that if you look at the river, it takes a sharp turn right there. And whenever you make a river make a sharp turn, it's going to cause erosion. And so that system you had there was working great. I don't know when it was put in, but it's failed. And so if you continue to not do anything about it, it will just continue to erode at that bank. And at some point, it's going to start to get close enough to your baseball diamond that it's going to cause the damage. Yep. So we did look at 3 different alternatives, and we presented those this morning to Justin. So we're just wrapping up the report that we're going to send to him, and that can be shared with the council and the mayor as well. But those 3 alternatives ranged in cost from the lowest cost option. Hang on, I got like a bunch of things open on here. Would be about $127,000. And that was the one that we recommended. The next 2 alternatives were kind of the next best thing. So it's like doing what we suggested on alternative 1, but maybe reinforcing more of the bank. That's what alternative 2 is. And that one ended up being a cost estimate of $151,000. And then the third one was, in addition to doing all of that, adding some riprap, what do we call it? I'm trying to remember the terminology. Bendway weirs. So it would be adding kind of, it almost looks like check dams along there that would stop the sediment as it's going through there. And it would slow it down, and it would eventually build up sediment along that curve. And, you know, it would just kind of help reinforce it. So that one was over 200,000. I can't remember the exact amount. 215,000.
Yeah.
So after talking with your staff about it, I think that the general consensus was leaning towards the lesser cost option. The question is, you know, what resources the city has to work on this. We did talk to 2 of the local conservation districts, and initially they were excited about this project, and then they backed off because they want to focus their money on, what was it, salmon? Oh, you weren't part of that one. He's like, I don't know. Look at me. Yeah, sorry, I don't have that up, but they wanted to focus it on salmon restoration and things like that, and that's not something that is happening in the Potlatch River, so they're putting their money elsewhere. So we can continue to hunt for some other funding sources, or if you're able to self-fund some of this work, volunteer work, things like that, that's another possibility, so.
We know some rock people that one person in particular has been trying to donate rock for a year without any place for it. But I mean, we might be able to get some of the materials donated by local people. I don't know. Maybe.
Just change the riverbed like the old Grinnells tried to do a few.
Not as easy as it used to be.
Take that one corner out before that corner like Neil tried to do.
Yeah.
They got caught for it.
Yeah, so that's where that one's at. I'm trying to remember if there's another thing that we're gonna.
There's another thing.
Okay.
What's the other thing?
erosion control program.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So I just the ones open. So the other thing that we were asked to look at for you is that the city did have some lead hits in your system. That was, you were notified by DEQ that you needed to come up with a corrosion control plan or a recommendation for how to address that. So we've been working with Justin to gather data on your system so that we can try to locate the source of where lead is coming into your system. The most common culprit is usually like lead water service lines. Well, if you don't have that issue in your system, I think most of those have been resolved. And we also didn't see a consistent hit for locations in your system where it was coming from. That would also indicate maybe you do have a lead service line, but we didn't see any consistency there. We found that most of the lead that's coming into your system is actually coming at the water treatment plant, which was kind of weird. Because, even after discussing it with the city more today, there's not really anything in the plant that should be introducing that. So without being able to pinpoint precisely where your lead problem is, the only way to address that is to use chemicals and to kind of, I guess they call it polishing your system. And that would be using like soda ash and I can't remember if we
Phosphorus.
like phosphate to treat your system. It's not anything that you would taste or anything like that, but it is something that they could do at the plant, and it would address the system globally throughout your water system. We're suggesting that that's probably the path, but we're also recommending that it would be nice if we could maybe kind of hang tight on that final recommendation if DEQ will let us and continue to gather data for another year. And then see if there's anything new that comes out of that. So would you add anything to that? I'm trying to keep this high level.
Well, that was right, but I think the other lead culprit is plumbing in people's homes.
Right.
Yeah, it's not, the water plant's pretty low, but I think that the hits were on people's personal plumbing. So this corrosion control program coats their lines in their homes so they don't have to replumb their homes, and then the lead goes down theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to keep this in mind when we do the budget workshop, that we're gonna need a little more money for lab testing. So that we'll have to bump that category up a little bit.
So our next step is we're visiting with DEQ. We're currently working on scheduling that meeting between Keller, Justin, and DEQ, and Joe, if he wants to come. So, we'll kind of go over where we're at in the process and update them. They have been checking in with us pretty regularly to see how we're doing on this. Despite that, they've been pretty patient with the city on coming up with the right solution. So we'll see what they think about us wanting to collect some more data before we really finalize this, because it'd be nice to not have to introduce too much into your system that you don't already have if we don't have to.
And like you guys said, once you start, you can't stop.
Yep.
So it's extra cost, everything.
Yeah, so it would be more chemical that they would have to buy on a regular basis at the plant, and would have to make it just part of their normal operation going forward. So I think that's it.
okay, thanks, Dylan.
You can.
So on the next one, to file an insurance claim on the park damage, we did get an email from the insurance company that they don't cover any landscaping. So I don't think it's really going to be beneficial for us to file that claim. And then Justin has some quotes, which are a little further down, that we'll look at. Well, I guess are the next ones. You start passing the quotes around for the fences. So we can just kind of look at
Well, I
that.
just want to explain this one. This one is on paper. He did send an email. It's $13,000 total. That's for replacing the fencing at the small fields
Thank you.
and for replacing the property line, the 6-foot property line fence along the backfield. This is half of the other two estimates.
Yep.
Clearwater fence came in at 10,000. Well, they're a lot more than that.
Basically, I think we're gonna be real close or with right under the 50, and where the 50 for the insurance really isn't gonna cover hardly anything. So that's what we need to make the decision on.
Total, that's what
Total.
paying the baseball association,
Yep.
their 15,000 with fixing the fencing, with everything.
Yeah.
But this guy, I already told this guy that he was a lot, he already ordered the material. I told him we're not guaranteeing him the work, but 13,000 total for everything, and the other ones were way. So this one is 26,977 to fix exactly the same thing. And then valley fencing, I don't remember the valley fencing one, but they were just slightly under 26, I think they were 23. So, anyway, but I can pass these around if you want with them.
So do we want to take care of 12 and then we'll move on to 13?
Yeah, let's take care of 12.
Okay,
I'll make the motion that we do not file an insurance claim for the park damage.
have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, moving second, all in favor? Motion passes. Okay, and then the review fence quotes and pick one of them.
I definitely recommend
Right.
Hilaire.
And he's legit.
That's
He's
that's
local.
my only concern is why is he half the price?
Well, the other two guys drove up in $70,000 diesel pickup trucks, and he drove up in an older flatbed. And he used to work for my brother. I just found that out. Well, he was telling me he's local, and anyway, he's a young person on his own, doing his own business.
And he would clean up all of
He
the,
would clean up all the debris, tear the fence down, haul it away, fix the 400 feet of the property line fence. Told me he'd cut down the 3 trees that are dead if I wanted to and haul them away. And then he would do the small field too, take it out, haul it away and replace it exactly the way it was. So, I will say that the Clearwater fencing guy called me this afternoon and said that he got Keniston to donate a 12-foot fence. But he said that wouldn't it wouldn't work on this project, but it would work behind the backstop or something. But
Right.
price-wise, it doesn't really make sense, so. So I recommend this tight wire guy. Yep.
do you guys want to look at the quotes? Okay,
As long as he's legit.
Yeah, as long as we don't get a crappy fence that we have to fix later.
And I like the idea of putting the money back into
small-
someone in the community.
He did have a real card. So he was real, and I know someone in Kendrick that's doing the fence with him too. They're all back, oh, and he said he could start right away, but the other guys are like 3 months out because of all the wind damage. Everybody's just so backed up, they can't get out here, so. Yeah, I say roll the dice.
Yeah.
I moved to go with the Blair quote. Quote.
I second.
moved and seconded, all in favor? Motion passes. Okay, and then Cheyenne did email everybody the reimbursed for Champion Excavation and the Kendrick School District, which is apparently they were the ones that paid the bill, part of the baseball, so whatever they worked out with the Baseball Association for that $6,000 worth of
Field conditioner.
field conditioner.
I
Yeah.
think they typically already buy it, so they probably had already gotten it ready.
Mm.
And maybe they had to buy it again, is my guess. I don't know that for positive, but.
And I believe that the Champion was 15,000
Yes.
and then the other one was 6.
Yeah.
So with the 20 or 21 and 13, we're way under 50.
And I haven't ordered gravel yet.
And we need, yeah, we do need to put
I'm gonna
some,
have to
yeah,
get some gravel down.
get some gravel down and stuff like that.
I'll make the motion to reimburse Champion Excavation in the Kendrick School District for the materials to repair the fields.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Motion passes. Okay, showtime, Todd.
It's pretty anticlimactic. The city needs to pass a retention policy for all of the documents and materials that are created. The video retention can be a temporary record with a 2-year retention period, or you can make it semi-permanent or permanent. I don't think we can properly make it transitory. Although there's an argument you can if you're not going to use it for anything other than it's been broadcast and you're done with it. Because if it's going to be just a broadcast and not the record, you don't have to worry about it. The record that is permanent has to be the minutes that are approved, not the video that is taken of the meeting. And so I'm happy to bring City of Lewiston's retention policy,
Mine.
and it's 46 pages, I think. I know they have a few, 38 pages on the retention policy plus a few addendums. I don't know that we need to go quite as deep as they do, but I was talking with, I was asking Cheyenne a few minutes ago if she has a retention policy, and she said, I don't think so. I mean, she's trying to retain what the state statute says, but what she doesn't understand is the state statute says it's up to you guys to pass a retention policy so she knows what she's supposed to keep and for how long and where. And so,
So are you talking more about the YouTube, or we're talking about all of our cameras, everything?
well, now the surveillance cameras, those are typically transitory. And those, for example, I think Lewiston has it's either 48 hours or 45 days on. I think they went 45 days on surveillance cameras, so that they had, some coverage for the police, if it was ever needed. They have other things, notes taken in meetings. Those have zero retention. They're considered completely transitory and would be tossed. They have others that have a couple of days. And so what I'm talking about is all of the above. I was asked to talk about a video retention policy. When I started into it, I was thinking of these, the broadcast of these meetings. But as I've gotten further into it, I realized, no, we probably need to expand beyond that, especially because we do have some surveillance cameras. And so we need to be able to address all of that and have a policy that is coherent and easy to follow. And when I say policy, that means a resolution passed by this body to address it.
Great. I don't know that it would be part of that, but you're talking about all retention policy. There's been some concerns on deleted emails from iPads. Would that be addressed in this retention policy, or is that a separate?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you set a policy for how long they're supposed to be retained. But there are people who violate it. And the retention policy does not address what are the remediations or the consequences for violating the policy. That's something that we can discuss. But sadly, for most cities, violation is not followed up on very closely.
By violation, you mean keeping it longer than it's supposed to be kept?
No, I mean, for example, I am aware of one city where somebody was getting ready to quit, and so they deleted every email they'd had over a period of a couple of years, and then wiped their laptop and said, "Here you go, I quit," and left the city in a real dither, because then when people came in and said, "Oh yeah, we've had this email," "What do you mean? I don't have it." And they kept finding themselves with landmines that had been gone out there from his emails. And so it's something that you have to watch out for, but we try to figure out how to retain them. There's not a problem with retaining something longer than you're required. The problem arises when you're getting rid of things that should have been retained.
Is there like an electronic way? Can we set up the emails so that we can't actually get rid of? We can't actually delete any of our emails?
Yes, and that I'm glad you asked that, because that slipped my mind as I will want to talk for a moment. That will be up to your IT folks, but it is easy to set it up through a general account where they are all preserved, and you have the ability to delete them, but he can also have it set up so that there's a main server that keeps them. And and they're all just stored.
That's ideal in my mind, because then if somebody wants to file a Freedom of Information Act, none of us can
Couldn't agree more.
hide stuff or get rid of
Right.
stuff.
I
gonna
can
be
tell you with the
available.
city of Clarkston, that's how they do it. And it's so that when the public records request comes in, they call up the IT guy who just runs a search on the entire system and pulls out everything. It's very nice. It makes things a lot easier. And you are a lot more protected. So I do recommend that kind of thing.
So, and to go along with that, though, they need to make sure that, that they're, like, for example, these iPads need to have the automatic update to the cloud, because I think there's been some question on if people are turning that off or not. So it's not updating at all. It's not going into the cloud. It's not storing anything, because they've disabled that in this setting. So we would need to make sure that we have something in place to make sure it stays on.
What I can tell you is I am a Luddite. So I'll defer to the guy who runs IT.
Okay.
Because I understood everything you said, but I couldn't answer that question to save my life.
We need parental controls on this essentially.
Yeah.
We can't change anything on these iPads.
Yeah.
You know, there's a training that I went through where they said the idea is to protect people from themselves. And that's the key.
Yeah.
You know, we put locks on our houses, not, and our bikes and things, not because we think that little lock is going to stop a dedicated burglar, but it's to keep those people who are making a lapse in judgment from really making a bad one.
Yes.
Yeah. I think whatever policy it addresses, the YouTube, the surveillance cameras and our iPads and communication. So we're well-rounded and protected.
So I nominate Cheyenne to write the.
I left that world.
Yeah, she's like, I'm no longer.
Would this be the area where we would have policies for when we start recording the videos and when we stop recording the videos?
No, this is a retention
Okay,
policy.
so that'd be a separate.
Right. And I think the simple answer on the recording, I mean, the council can set whatever policy they want. The council is the policy setting body of the city. But typically what you find is that you start it when you start and you end it when you end. And it doesn't need to have a long preamble or a long.
My thought would be that as soon as there's a quorum sitting in here,
And
that's my opinion.
That, again, that's.
Because I have had a couple citizens ask about suspecting people having off the books conversations. So if we have the video, as soon as there's a quorum, Cheyenne kicks it on and then everybody can see what's going on at that point then.
My concern would be people out here in the audience
I
having,
wouldn't like that, Rick. As a
What's that?
citizen, that violates my privacy to sit here and talk to Cynthia. Why would I want that?
Well, it's because if there's a quorum here and we talk about business, even if it's inadvertently, and there's no notes taken and there's no recording of it, then we're violating open meeting laws.
but I think we also need to make sure that we're protecting our citizens that are out here that might be having private conversations with each other, because we do have litigious people in the community that could potentially use that. And so I think that this is a discussion that we need to expand upon, because it isn't just about us. It's about protecting everyone that shows up here. I don't want to discourage people from showing up because they're afraid if they're talking to their friend and they say so-and-so is a jerk face, that's going to be recorded. And then so-and-so that they called a jerk face then sues them.
And Rick, I'll just mention that the cure of a public meetings violation is not an onerous cure. If you pass any action that is taken in violation of the Public Meetings Act, you declare it void and address it in a properly noted meeting. It's not terribly onerous. It's when people are violating it and hiding it and trying and intentionally violating and hiding it.
And my thinking is perception.
Well, and
Not
I understand
necessarily
that.
reality, but perception, which for some people is reality, unfortunately.
And I understand exactly what you're saying. And yes, the perception becomes the reality, except that And I think the discussion's proper. Where are the limits? How do you protect the other people, the townsfolk who like to come and this is I hate to call it a social event, but you know, they're seeing friends and they get to talk. And one of the beauties of living in a town like this is we are friends. Everybody comes in and you probably know everybody here. And you may not get to see them all that often, but when you're here, you want to talk and just get caught up. And you really don't need that broadcast all the world. So I understand their concerns.
No, I understand.
Yours as well.
I understand both sides of the concerns.
I'm not trying to push you one way or the other. I'm just trying to advance that.
And I'm not trying to say what we should do. I'm just throwing out ideas that what we should discuss and decide as a group, as a council, what we should do.
Yes.
If I may, like, I take a high offense that someone who I will assume is not in the audience, making accusations that we are potentially violating our oath to violate, I think we're all honest people up here. We know the rules. We know that we don't talk about business until the meeting starts. It's never happened. I've never like chit-chatted about business before the meeting starts. So I would just highly suggest that if anybody has concerns, to please come to a meeting, talk to us, get here early to see if that's actually happening before you make a public, not accusation, because I don't think that's what it was, but implying that we are breaking our oath. And I think that's very hurtful. I mean,
Well, and I think that as we all need to hold each other accountable too. If one of us accidentally misspeaks and starts talking, like if sometimes I'll get here and I'll talk to Eric like about like how, like how was spring break or something. If I accidentally mention something in an action item, that's something on here, I would hope that he goes, hey, Stephanie, that's on the agenda. We shouldn't talk about that. Just as a reminder, you know what I mean? I would hope that we can all do that and be adults and address each other in that way to stop it right there so that we're discussing it in a formal meeting setting.
So that was my spiel. I don't know how you want to proceed from here, Mayor.
Maybe come up with just kind of a.
less than 48 pages.
Yeah, less than 48 pages, retention policy for the council to review.
Yeah.
I'll send you my bills.
Try to keep it
And
to
then we
42.
can also discuss get through that and we can talk about if somebody wants to bring forth, like what Rick was talking about, to perform a policy like that, any counselor can ask that be on the agenda. We can have a discussion about that and move forward if that so chooses. Okay, so the next thing you'll see that you have these little, not quite 47 pages, I don't think, 10 pages. These are the budget I just wanted Cheyenne to print these out so that you guys could start getting familiar with these as we move forward into budget time. So today we have to set a date and time for the budget hearing, and then we will talk about budget workshop things. Normally in the past, we usually do an hour before council meetings, but I know that that's difficult for Rick. So I would like to look at possibly doing just a 2-hour block instead of before each council meeting, just do a 2-hour block or something and just go through it and just specifically budget workshop. Instead of doing it before a meeting. So something to think about. I think that can just be we can call a meeting, right, Todd? And just do it like that?
Yes.
Yep.
I
Okay.
would just say that it took us how many meetings last year? So
Right.
2 hours might not be enough, so we might have
Well,
to do it every month.
Well, or we can, depending on how much time people want to block out. I know that tonight was a very big meeting. I think this is probably the biggest meeting since I've been on council with the most kind of stuff. So something to think about. We normally start that in May, but we can put it on. Is that something we have to vote on, or can I just call a special meeting?
Yeah, call a special meeting.
Okay, so we can just look at, let's set the date, which is usually.
Calendar up. You're on March.
Yeah. Oh,
Whose job is this?
Facilities bad.
Yeah.
Give you a raise, geez.
Okay. So we're looking at April for our, not April, August.
Yeah, we need to look at the month of August.
Right, so August, our meeting is on the 11th.
Yeah, have it done by then.
Well, that's when we have to set the date and time for the budget hearing, but yes, we do have to have the budget done actually before that because it has to have time to publish.
Yeah, so Idaho code requires that all city clerks notify county clerks by April 30th of when each city plans on having their official budget hearing, which would be a public hearing, so we'd have to publish in the newspaper. I think it's like twice.
Yeah, it is. I remember it was twice
think
last
so.
time.
One month before, yeah, so there's kind of strict requirements with that, and you have to have your budget passed and finalized, I think by like September 3rd. So it's recommended that at each city's August meeting, you
Which
set
gives-
that as your budget hearing.
And it gives us time before September 3rd, like I think we had to do special thing last time to get that through. So, let's set the date for the hearing and then we can look at calendars for a budget workshop.
Aren't you?
If we just set it for the regular meeting?
So Mayor,
Yes.
if you think that through for just a second, let's just talk Cheyenne. If you think that through, if you're going to have your hearing in August, on August 11th, you gotta have it ready to be published by July 11th. That means you have May and June to have your hearings or your workshops and be ready to go.
Do we need the budget done by September? Is that what you said?
August, July, actually.
Yeah,
By
your,
July
No,
11th.
like, no,
Yeah.
but if
To submit.
we have to have it
your
done
final
by
budget appropriation ordinance has to be passed by September 3rd.
Yes,
September.
but we have to have the
pass it in
budget.
August
Right.
Or carry a special meeting.
Right.
Yep.
Like, for example, I know that Bowville, they set their budget hearing via a special time. It's not at their regularly scheduled August meeting. They purposely have theirs as late as they can in August.
Yeah.
To put it off.
I mean, should we do the same?
Well, let's,
I don't recommend that because if we run into any issues and I have to.
yeah,
have to
like we
make
did
any type
last
of
year.
Amendments.
Yeah.
Yeah, the earlier the better.
My recommendation would be to set the budget hearing for our regular meeting and then look at times for special meetings for just budget workshop
May,
stuff.
June, and early
I
July.
agree.
Right, because with,
We're looking at.
I mean, Eric and Amanda were on last year. We do have Rick and Stephanie that are new. I want to make sure that we have an ample amount of time to answer any questions and go through that. So I feel like we should do August 11th for the budget hearing and then look at calendars for budget workshops is my suggestion, but does anybody else have thoughts for the budget hearing?
I'm good with that in case we do have to push it
I'm
out.
good with that too.
That works for me as well.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to set the budget hearing for fiscal year 2027 for August 11th.
And are we gonna did we do early last time? Yeah, like,
I think we did 6, but it wasn't
I
scheduled
think
for
we
a
were-
regular meeting.
oh,
We had to set a
Yeah.
special meeting and that was all we were handling. So I think we said it earlier. I would suggest leaving it at 7 if we're going to be doing it on our
In our normal meeting.
normal meeting time day.
anybody have thoughts?
It works for me.
Okay. So you wanna,
Amend my motion.
or state it as,
All right, I'll make the motion to set the date for August 11th, 2026 at 7 PM for the fiscal year 2027 budget hearing.
do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, so let's, do we want to do one before our next council meeting?
What's the earliest that you can get here?
Like, I mean, not before, I mean, before the date.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, not before the meeting, like a
Like
different
5,
date,
okay. Different date.
I
like,
mean, if
yeah.
it really has to happen, I can make it work. But-
Well, I think that it's
Yeah.
best off with the newness of the council and stuff that we just set a different date if that works for everybody and just take our time.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm, I mean, I don't know how people feel about Mondays. I'm usually off on Mondays, so that's
Monday
probably.
works for me usually.
Monday works for me.
Monday works for me usually.
So we could do Monday, the 4th,
May 4th.
May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, that's.
Is that gonna give us enough?
This is just one. We can
I
set
know.
another one.
Well, we're gonna have to, you know
Right,
that.
I know.
Otherwise it's not gonna.
We
So-
just need 24 hours to set a special
Yeah.
hearing, so.
I think if we
Okay.
start one, if we do it May 4th, do we have to have a time limit on it?
No.
So we can just pick a time that starts,
Order
does it start?
pizza, make it last.
Yeah, and then we have time to see how long it takes us to get through that, and then we can set another meeting at the council meeting if need to.
What time?
What time does Mondays work for everybody?
I'm open.
I'm pretty much open on Monday.
What's the earliest?
I can get here about 4:30 at the earliest.
Okay,
Anybody can't get here before 4:30?
I have work at, my work
You're
is
on
over
at
3:30, yeah.
yeah,
Is 4:30 good
And you're
then?
good?
4:30
I'm
or
good.
5 would work,
5?
yeah.
But yeah, I'm fine with whatever, as long as it's 4:30 or later. Yeah.
I mean, 5, that might give you a moment to go home and, you know.
I gotta meet
fresh
her,
up.
Some
I gotta meet
dinner?
her
You're
at
having
3:30
some-
to sign checks, so she ain't probably gonna have much time to go home. That's
Oh,
payday, yeah.
Sounds good.
At 5 on May 4th? Okay, budget workshop, May 4th, 5 o'clock.
I would ask, because this came up last year, if the city has stuff they want to add to the budget, to have quotes in hand.
Yes.
Do I
Yes.
If you guys want to put stuff in the budget.
need to add another line item?
No, no.
Or Increase.
If you want something, remember when we talked about last year that,
Yeah, like roofing, they wanted to put new roof on the
Gazebo.
and stuff like that. If you guys have projects, come with quotes.
yep,
Oh, come in with quotes, yeah.
yeah, and if you can't have a quote by the first meeting, have an idea and have a quote before the second meeting, if we have a second
That
meeting.
way it makes it a lot
Oh, yeah.
faster.
Yep. So Joe, I know you're new to this process, but if there's something that you see, and Cheyenne, same. Sorry, Clifford, you already got your new thing.
I only spent half my money.
Okay. All right, moving on. Staff reports, Justin.
There's a lot. I've received 2 complaints about the cemetery, the grass at the cemetery, 2 phone calls. So today, it was supposed to be mowed weekend before last, it still wasn't mowed. So Joe and I went up there today with both mowers and got most of it, 3/4 of it chopped down, mostly the high stuff. We know there's gonna be a funeral there Saturday. So we will go back up there and finish it and have it ready for the funeral. And the cemetery district has been notified. I'm on the board, but the other board members have been notified as well, so we're looking at what's going on, why it's not being done. The fence holes are dug, 2 sections of the fence holes are dug for the new fence, and Ed is organizing a work group to get the fence put in. The construction company has allowed us the loan of their forklift, and he's got a trailer, so we think we can use our backhoe. We think we have all the equipment to get it done. At the park, I'm gonna go ahead and call the tight wire guy, get the fencing going. Joe cleaned out the concession stand. There was mud in the concession stand. We're still not sure if the baseball team's gonna use it or not. We heard that there was gonna be a trailer pulled in there. Then we heard that one of the daughters of the baseball coaches was gonna use the concession stand, so we hurried up and got it clean. And then last week, there was a trailer pulled down there, a food truck. So anyway, it's ready to go. If anybody wants to use the concession stand, it's cleaned and ready. And then I'll order gravel as well. And we have the gravel rake on the tractor that we bought last year, and Joe's been using it. He did the lower reservoir, got all that gravel spread out. Started working on some of the other streets in town. We are going to hire for the summer position, and this is the job announcement. The city of Juliaetta is seeking a seasonal employee for summer 2026. Applicants must be 16 and possess a valid driver's license. Examples of duties include operating and riding lawnmower, side-by-side, ATV, cleaning park bathrooms, and general outdoor labor. Work week is 7 to 3:30 PM, Monday through Friday. Visit cityofjulietta.com or City Hall for an application.
And we did budget for this last year because we knew that with the water treatment facility that they would need extra help mowing and stuff like that. So it is built into the budget to cover this.
So I did have Lustig Utilities help me with 2 issues that one of them's been going on for 3 years. It was a very, very sensitive issue by the highway, and that's concrete asbestos water line. We did get the leak fixed, and as of today, but I know of no leaks in our water system. But it's a day by day thing. The USDA state director visited today with the mayor and Joe and I and Cheyenne, the contractors and the engineers were down there, and everything went well. So they were kind of feeling out the improvements that Stillman mentioned, what we thought was going to be the best. And so I gave them my opinion, and we can go over that, later.
Justin did a great job explaining everything to the whole group of people from USDA about everything that's going on down there in the past of the water or the wastewater plant. Just did a great job, and they were super happy with everything I felt.
Yeah. And ironically, the sewer plant is running better now than I've seen it run in years. It's amazing, but it's gonna get tore out. And we've been brought to our attention that there's a severe cat problem in some neighborhoods. I know that at least 6 in the last 2 weeks have been caught, transported to Potlatch, spayed, and then brought back. And that was a service that the Humane Society, I believe, was providing. I got the cage back, so if anybody needs to borrow the cage and catch cats or whatever to be spayed or taken to the Humane Society, I do have that back. And it seems like Stillman covered the other 2, the corrosion control and the park backstop. So I think that is all I have for the moment.
Rick?
No, I'm good.
We got the community cleanup day this Saturday. Volunteers are meeting at 9 at the city hall. We have a short list of some residents that have yard debris, or some trash to haul off. So anybody who is still wanting to volunteer, please show up. And
I'll be out of town, sorry. You can blame my wife.
I will also be out of town. You can blame my wife as well.
Hope they don't watch.
Yeah, I will be out of town. I'm flying out later this week, and I will be back Monday. So if anything happens, I do have my city phone, or if anybody needs to get a hold of me. But I will be in Arizona enjoying the warm weather for a few days. Also, I wanted to bring up, if citizens are having issues with their garbage, they need to let us know or Sunshine Disposal know. I've heard some comments that they're driving erratically, stuff like that. So if you see that truck number, goes a long way. Then I can reach out to Sunshine, I can reach out to Amanda with the county, and we can get these issues resolved. If their garbage is continuously being missed, please let the city know. We can work with the county and get some things figured out as well on that. I have met with the state a few times on the traffic and the speed study. At this time, they are not going to lower the speed limit to 25. They found that the 80th percentile is that people are driving between 30 and 35, but they are wanting to look at a school zone on Main Street and some grant funding. So they're going to move forward with, we're going to be meeting with the school, and they're going to be doing a safe path to school study so that they can get grant funding for, it's called a hawk. So it's one of those big lights that go across where you press the button and it flashes, and then there'll be a school zone where during that school time, the speed limit could potentially be lowered to 20 for this one single block here during school hours. So not what we had hoped for, but we're making great strides with the state. This is the furthest that the city's ever made it with the state, and I'm very appreciative for all their work with working with us, trying to get some of these things resolved. They're also brought up the streetlights on Main Street. So that's why I was talking to Vista to see if we can do something. Because when they showed me the pictures, you don't really think about how dark our Main Street is, and then we only have seven streetlights. So more to come on that. They're wanting to do a kickoff meeting here pretty soon with the school to educate the students and just kind of get rolling on this Safe Path to School study. So more to come up on that. And I did want to remind everybody about the park thing, or not the park thing, the cleaning up the trash. But we've also had lots of, what would you call them, Joe? The park bathroom is getting violated. I don't think it's necessarily the, well, not in that way. That's, I think we're having lots of vandalism in the park. And I don't think it's necessarily the Baseball Association, because we've talked to them and stuff. We think it's some other people, kids around town. So if anybody sees anything like that, please let the sheriff's department know, let Cheyenne know, so we can reach out to the, so we can get that taken care of, because we want to keep our park nice and our park bathrooms nice. I also wanted to bring up the be a good neighbor. This was also brought up by a concerned citizen that lots of people are taking up in front of other people's houses. Granted, it is city right away, but we're in such a small town. We just want to, limit what we're parking in front of everybody else's house and just try to be a good neighbor to each other. And then if you look at Justin's shirt, we got these so when they go to conference and stuff. If counselors do want them, they are available for purchase from where did we get them made?
Joe.
Northwest Design.
Northwest Design. So if any counselor wants one, you are able to purchase one. They have our logo and everything down there. You can pick a different color. The blue and white looks nice on all three of them, but we thought it would be nice for them when they go to conferences and stuff to be able to be proud and represent our city. And I think that's all I have.
Just going to be helping out with the community cleanup on Saturday, and then today this morning when I got onto the Julietta's webpage to look at the ordinances, to kind of review, to make sure I was prepared, I did notice that it has not been updated for leadership. It still has the old leadership listed.
Good to know.
And we were also working on, because I know that Eric brought up the how the ordinances are supposed to be enforced, and we're working on it. We're getting there. With ordinances, a lot of people do, I think, feel that ordinances aren't being enforced, but there is some stuff behind the scenes that the city is working on to follow through on those ordinances and stuff. Is that all you had, Stephanie?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Eric?
I got nothing.
Executive session.
Cheyenne?
Tomorrow I'm headed to Moscow for our local spring clerks conference. So that'll be all day. City Hall is closed tomorrow. I think most people know how to reach Justin if they need to, but otherwise the payment drop box is always open for anyone trying to do that. And to leave me a message if they need to, I'll get back to them later in the week.
Okay.
Tomorrow's tax day too,
And it's
right?
tax day. Yeah.
Tomorrow's tax day.
So just a reminder of everyone, tomorrow's tax day.
Yep. Joe, you got anything?
Not at this time.
Okay, Clifford. Oh, one more thing. I know I did ask, sorry. Seeing Clifford sparked my memory. I know I'd asked the council to consider what we were gonna do with that extra 60, but I decided to put that off until May because knowing what Stillman was gonna talk about. So I felt that was something that we could take into consideration when we look at other things, because Clifford and I had talked about the addition of a new city shop to give them more room for the fire trucks and stuff. So we can look at that in May.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Anything?
That's it.
Okay. We'll now open it up for public comment.
we have a severe problem with motocross kids all day long,
Yes.
all day. I don't know why they're not in school. I mean,
Young kids.
young
Yeah.
kids.
You
So there's a dirt track, well, not a dirt track, it's our road track, literally goes from Ward up Third, can go all the way up to First where the logging trucks or the grain trucks come down. You know that, you know, when you go right up to the top, it's kind of really sharp. Like I can't even see. Those kids go flying up there. One's gonna get hit one day. I mean, with the trucks coming down.
Polly mentioned it too.
Yeah.
So they go up there, they go all the way up past his house on Third. We've had 2 neighbors up there complain. One of them sent me a video with the kid flying by and he's not waving at her camera. He's doing something else with me. But I work from home and I work on the corner of Third and McCall. And there are 2 kids in my direct neighborhood. Like one lives 2 doors down that way and one, I don't know where he lives, but he's always across the street. They just go back and forth and do donuts in the middle and then they do wheelies. They literally will just sit there and rev their engines. You can't hear the TV, you can't have a conversation. If I'm on the phone at work, you can't hear, I mean, it's gotta stop. It's come up in several meetings. I've seen the videos, I've been here in meetings. It's been a constant problem. I know you guys can't do anything about it, but can we get the school resource officer involved to?
Well, and one of the
So-
things that we do is we have doubled the amount of Latah County being down here. So I will call Sheriff Skiles tomorrow and let him know that they need to be more, they need to be following up and
So
focused
like
on
between
that.
11 and 2 and 4 and 6.
It's
Perfect
after
timing.
school gets out and that. And the
Yep.
biggest thing is, I almost got one of the kids, you know where I live, Chuck. You know, they got this stripe line going up the hill. They're coming down there, and if I didn't stop, I would T-bone them. And what's really bad is we hit them and kill one of them. We're gonna get blamed for it.
They don't wear their
When it's not our
helmets,
fault.
they double ride, they don't have lights on, they're riding it. And then another problem is we have these kids that constantly, like, I'm on a
The race
corner,
course, just,
but they walk through my property, which we just did a whole bunch of construction. We just had a pole barn built. And so now our walkway is like a dead drop down a few feet. So there's a walkway now between the pole barn and that. But we have kids in the middle of the night that walk through on video from Third McCall between our house and our garage to go to Third. And I've asked them several times when I'm there during the day and I see them to please not walk through my yard anymore because I don't want them. It's my property. I don't want to have to worry if I'm in my bedroom changing my clothes that this kid's gonna walk by right next to my window, right? But they're like, I have a video of them at like 10:45 at night. So I think the school resource officers need to get with the schools and say they need to educate the children on trespassing.
So you can also share that video with Latah County Sheriff's Office so that they have an idea of what they're looking
the
for.
biggest problem is the one kid we're having, he's expelled from school.
I was gonna say, I think the
The blonde
majority,
guy.
the majority of the kids that you talked about, I think have all been
Yeah, he got.
either expelled or they've withdrawn and they're homeschooled.
Well, one of them I think goes to school because he can't be more than 11 or 12. I mean, are they that young getting expelled?
So he's not 11 or 12.
Then you got
They're
3
older.
girls riding.
Yeah, I've seen the 2 girls together.
Well, and there's been a lot of Facebook posts about the girls on the red ATV.
I have not seen them, but
They will ride 3 and 4 deep on one ATV.
Yeah, I don't think they're licensed vehicles either. I don't see what.
I mean, I think the only thing, and we've discussed this at length, is unfortunately when the citizens see that, you know, we can't do anything. It has to be a call to the sheriffs,
Well,
even if they don't always come down. It's on record. And then the time that they do, show
Well, I
them
know I
videos
called the
and
sheriff's
show,
department
and
and
show.
I was the second person that had called in last week. And one of the other ladies that was talking to, that she was complaining about it, she spoke off duty to an off-duty guy at the baseball fields. But can we get the schools involved or the school resource officers to start educating the kids about trespassing, about noise ordinances?
Yeah, what's really bad is.
Yeah, you'd have to go to a school board meeting to have them
Yeah,
do that.
the biggest thing is, harvest season is gonna be starting, the semi's gonna be coming off the hill.
Yeah,
You know, but the semis take all the road going up that way, and you meet one of them.
yeah, with the school stuff, you'll have to go to them because that's something that they'll have to, the school board will have to do.
Okay. Do you think they would be open to like maybe hearing from citizens?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not against dirt bikes. I raised 3 daughters. They all rode dirt bikes. They all rode ATVs, but they never did it back and forth for hours in front of, one house that's getting it from 2 different streets. I mean,
Right.
I want to get a paintball gun and.
The biggest hangout is Long Street. Third McCall. You know.
Well,
The steel
that
press.
house is empty as far as I know.
No, you don't live across the street.
Well,
they got a power
technically.
cord, hooked up to that camper there, and they're spending nights in the camper. Now,
Oh,
I don't know who would it be. The
is it the
son
son?
that they're
no,
fixing at the house?
Really?
The one, yeah. They're cleaning it up. They're doing a really good job at cleaning
Yeah,
it up.
but-
Someone else is taking it over. He came and talked to us. He says he apologized for the mess and the noise and the constant years of trash in our yard. But a family member is gonna be taking it over and either tearing it down and building something new, or maybe just fixing it and making it better. But in the meantime, there are overnight stays.
But
There.
according to what the cop told me when I stopped a long time ago, is the city has to have an ordinance against the kids riding.
Well, so I can see that, but also if it's an unlicensed vehicle, that falls under any Idaho state law for traffic.
I
law.
got in trouble, 5, 6 years ago. I stopped,
That's
took
the
the
worst
keys
one. I
on
don't
the
let 'em
four-wheel.
drive
I made the
by.
kids come up. The cops were gonna haul me off because I stopped them
Mm.
and
But who's gonna
retained
get 'em?
them for
Who's
that.
gonna get
You know what I mean?
Am I call City Hall, come down there and take it?
They
can't.
Yeah.
Up the hill, pulling wheelies, you know.
So-
It used to be illegal to take their keys and make the parents come.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the cop told me that's theft.
That's theft.
That's theft.
That is now, but when you and I didn't have gray hair, it was okay.
Yeah, that's how you taught the kids respect for elder, just a community in general. But these kids, I mean, I've asked these kids several times, please don't walk through my property. I've gone outside on the lawn and talked to them. They're like, oh, sorry.
So my suggestion would be
Bear
to.
traps?
Okay.
Sorry.
That camera's recording.
My suggestion would be if you're sure that they're elementary kids.
No, I think these ones, the ones that go by like 10:45 at night.
Or
I think
junior
those
high
are
or
junior
high
high,
school.
yeah.
Well, if, I would go talk to Steve Kirkland about that with the video and show him, so he could tell you
I
who
don't know
they
that
are.
he can.
So if that's what's gonna if you're
But a
gonna
citizen could.
get it through there, that's how you would do it. But you definitely need to show that to the cop.
Yeah.
And if it's the kids who've been expelled, the cops are gonna have to be the ones doing something about it.
They know who they are.
I'm not gonna.
Gardeners?
Paintball.
Sprinklers.
We know who they are.
Sprinklers. are just
What?
Yeah.
drinking.
Well, we have them for the cats because we have a really big stray cat problem.
Yeah,
We had to put wires under our deck. Every night we get about 3 to 4 different cats that come on the deck. My husband had to put cement around the border of our shop because they like to use it as a cat box. And I didn't want kittens born under my deck, so we just had to fence the whole deck off. But,
Okay.
yeah.
I recommend the cops, the school board.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's.
Do we have any other public comment?
I just want to ask Dustin a quick question about the bike path. Someone had posted in my group, the community group, that the path was undercut.
They fixed it. Yeah. So,
We were shocked, they just came and did it really
yeah,
fast.
I talked to the rec district and they reached out to the guy at Andy up in Moscow. That's the rec for all of Lake Tahoe County, and they were right on top of fixing it. Yep.
Yeah.
She must not have known that it got repaired, but she had made up her public inquiry.
Yeah, she had also reached out to me because I'm the one that originally found that it was completely undercut. So, yeah, but it's all completely fixed.
Hey, another project, Clifford needs another project. Why don't you go around and paint fire hydrant and make it look nice, pretty yellow again instead of dull and fade at once?
Okay.
Where's the camera?
Hey, can we paint them all different colors, red, white, blue and all that?
All right.
Okay, you got a motion?
Yep. So we're gonna, that's next on the list.
I make a motion to go to executive session.
I second that.
Okay, it is a roll call vote. Rick,
Aye.
Amanda,
Aye.
Stephanie,
I,
Eric?
I,
Okay,
By the way, before you do that, motion actually has to be slightly different than, it shouldn't be that short.
Oh.
Do we have
You
to
need
read it?
You need
Yeah.
to reference pursuant to Idaho Code 74206, IF for litigation purposes. Speak to the attorney.
okay, well, let me start over then. I make a motion for the executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel for public agency to
Okay.
discuss legal ramifications.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Rick,
Aye.
Amanda,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Eric.
I.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right, we will be going into executive session.
Justin.
Justin, I believe, you need to stay. Cheyenne needs to stay.